Hey everybody, it's Pastor Steve Roby from Water's Edge Church, and we are here with episode number 9 of Coffee Time Q&A. Missed one last week.
We did.
COVID
got us.
A little disappointed. And it was good to pause for Christmas.
Yeah.
But we're back. I'm here with my regulars, my homies, 3 of 6 elders at Water's Edge. We got the Mad Hatter himself,
right?
Adam Rastetter, and we got Rowdy Rod Piper. No, I'm just kidding. Because of John Piper.
Yeah. That's right.
Not the wrestler.
Not the wrestler.
No, I'm glad you're back. So I texted you guys yesterday. I got a box in the mail, and it just had my name, address on it. It didn't say who it was from or who had sent it to me, but it was from the Chesapeake Bay Roasting Company. And my first thought was, who sent this to me? I didn't know. It wasn't a roaster that I'd heard of. And so I checked it out, found out it was from Maryland. And then I get a text that it was actually from Brad Dingman.
Brad,
one of our listeners, former member at Water's Edge Church.
Thanks, Brad.
Thanks, Brad.
What a guy. That's awesome.
It was. It was a nice
really
surprise.
Nice. Yes.
So I saw Maryland. I figured it was either Brad or Tommy V.
Yeah.
From Maryland.
I'm surprised Brad didn't get us something from Buffalo or something.
True. He said this is his favorite roaster, though. So we're going to check it out.
Yeah.
We're going to check it out. I also had this thought, though, before I knew it was from him. I thought, maybe we've made it to the big time with Coffee Time Q&A, and we're getting sponsors. There's roasters out there watching this show, and they're like, let me send them free coffee so they can spotlight us. Well, we're going to spotlight them anyway, whether or not it was not on their will that they sent this to us. But I got the mug, Chesapeake Bay mug.
Looks good.
We got 2 different coffees. They sent a holiday blend here. There's 3 different coffees blended. And then we have what we're going to be drinking today, which is from El Salvador, Finca El Izotal. Single origin coffee. Don't quote me if I mispronounce that. With the tasting notes, it's a light roast. Tasting notes of vanilla and light apple aromas with a cream body and soft acidity. Tastes of warming spices, vanilla, and candied pecans, or pecans, depending on where you're from.
We've had that discussion before.
And they gave us this cool sticker.
Awesome.
So we're going to cheers to
Fine choice, Brad.
El Salvador. Thank you, Brad.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brad.
Coffee Time Q&A. Appreciate you.
Yes.
Give it a taste.
That's great.
That's good.
Very good.
Well prepared. Rodney let me prepare it this time. No, I'm just kidding. That was good stuff.
You're learning how to pour over finally.
I'm getting there. High quality. Good ratios going on here. Well, this is the last Coffee Time Q&A of 2020. Pretty crazy. We've made it.
Yeah.
If it almost felt like at one point this year when we go into 2021, like everything would go away, like we're gonna, like that's the finish line.
It no longer feels that way.
The reality is that's not the case.
Yeah.
Especially in our area, right? Because
Right.
COVID obviously is spiking in Virginia Beach specifically. But nevertheless, it is good at the end of the year, as it is kind of the natural rhythm of our life to kind of close this chapter of 2020 and look forward to 2021. And so I thought, man, let's take a moment to just reflect back. And I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about 2020. We've done an episode on COVID and our leadership and challenges that we faced, but then also look forward to 2021 and talk about like maybe some goals or some things that we're looking forward to in 2021. If you could describe 2020, I didn't tell you I was going to do this, but pick 3 words. What are some of the words that you would choose to describe the year 2020?
Fluent.
Fluid, yeah.
Fluid, I mean, yeah. Fluid. Yeah.
Can it be like a 3-word phrase?
Appropriate language, wholesome talk. This is a Bible podcast.
Science fiction movie.
Science fiction movie.
Yeah.
It feels like it sometimes.
Yes,
right?
it does.
Yeah.
Quarantined.
Quarantine's a good phrase.
Yep.
Toilet paper.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
But I think even on a real serious note, like all of us kind of recognized, maybe more so than ever, the providence of God, not just in theological study, but in like circumstantial things around us. And so that was kind of interesting to kind of reflect back. I know we did that on the providence of God and, in our church and getting us through this year and even advancing in some ways and some really cool things happening for us. But it is definitely a year that we're all going to remember, right?
No doubt about that.
Yes.
We're gonna I don't know how it still remains to be said, like how life is going to be different forever now. I wonder how many years if we're going to be wearing masks in stores and restaurants, if that's just something that's here to stay or whatever.
I used to not like the whole thought of the term "the new normal" when they started saying that where I work, and it's almost become the new normal, and it is.
It's almost like you don't even think about it now.
Yeah.
You just walk around the grocery store, people wearing masks. It used to be odd to look at other people, but now it just seems normative.
I saw
That's still odd,
I saw a really cool meme that had Santa Claus standing at the door looking all run down, and Mrs. Claus looking and said, "Why do you look so run down?" And he said, "I kept having to go back to my sleigh to get my mask." And I was just like, wow, that's I've been there. I've been there.
Yeah, it used to be like keys, wallet, phone, and that was good. Now it's adding a fourth thing: keys, wallet, phone, mask.
Do you keep a stash of masks in your car? I got some in my console.
I
It's
do.
like my personal
Yes.
stash. Yeah,
Yes.
always.
The spare clean mask just in case.
Yeah. Yeah, it was wild year for sure. But now that we're kind of closing out 2020, looking forward to 2021, I know one of the things I noticed this week is, I'm on social media quite a bit. I do more posting now and less scrolling and reading. But some of the groups that I'm in and just different circles of people that I'm connected with, the question has come up multiple times. What are your goals for 2021? And it just made me think of this concept of developing resolutions around the new year. And so I wanted to ask you guys, are you resolution guys? What are your thoughts about New Year's resolutions? And then have you set any goals for 2021? Are there some specific things that you're hoping to accomplish or do over this next year? And we can take that in any order. So are you a resolution guy?
Yeah, I love turning a page. I always think it's a good opportunity to just kind of evaluate your life, where you're at, what are some things that you might enjoy doing, some things you should be doing better. So I like it. I'm not like I wouldn't say my resolutions are like I'm not trying to impose like this. I think it's more just good ideas. I wanna put good ideas out there, and not try to be too much of a stickler with most of them. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to be like, you have to do this, and I'm only doing it because I have to do it. But
What about you, resolution guy?
Not normally. Normally I'm not a resolution guy. I know Nikki is talking about doing the Daniel fast, and right now I'm trying to make the decision on whether I want to do that with her or not. I think I may, just out of support, because I know how hard it is if only one person is doing something like that. So I'll probably join her with the Daniel fast for 30 days.
Was that meat, no meat,
No
just
meat,
veggies,
it's
fruit?
veg, no processed foods, no, that kind of thing. It's very, no processed sugars.
It's always weirded out why they call that a fast, though. Daniel wasn't fasting.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, it's more of a diet.
Yeah.
But he
But,
refused to eat the king's meat.
But usually, I think for us, it's just it's going to be something that we're just going to do this year to kind of kick off the
Kind
new
of
year.
kickstart your health
Yeah.
a little bit.
And that's where I was going with that. Also, for me, is when I went to the Fit Church.
Fit Church. We got Rodney out there.
I got out there for one of the Sunday parking lot workouts and
Saturday morning.
or Saturday morning. Sorry, yes, Saturday morning workouts, and I realized how out of shape I was, and that kind of made me realize that I need to do some stuff, not just my walk to my office and back.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well, I mean,
Right.
I'm going to let you know it is like a half a mile to my office, so
right,
it is a full
it's a good
mile walk.
walk.
Yeah, it's a
but
good
you
walk.
can't rely on only that.
No.
And you're being a good husband too, and doing this fast with
trying
Nikki.
to.
I like that. One of mine is not something new, but So I have a wife and 2 daughters, and one thing that I've done in the past is date nights with each one of them.
That's cool.
And we've gotten out of the habit. This year we didn't do well at
Not
all.
allowed to go
with
anywhere.
that. Not allowed to go anywhere. But that's something that is important. We've had 2020 has been great because we've had a lot of family time, but we've not had a lot of one-on-one time because everybody's there most of the time. So it's good and special to each one to be able to spend time just
What
with
does that
them.
look like as a goal or as a resolution, though? Is that like once
That-
a month?
yeah,
I'm trying
yeah.
to do one with each of them. Am I putting it on the calendar? Are there dates, measurable?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And my plan right now is Monday evenings. I'd like to take 3 of the Mondays, one with Crystal, one with Kate, one with Lucy, and then the final Monday, something as a family.
Yeah.
And and we'll see as far as like where we can go. It does need to look a little bit different as everything's not open right now, but even if it's just going outside and playing at the park or something like that, we're going to spend some one-on-one time. And it'll be the same thing with Crystal when I have Kate. Crystal will have Lucy. So
Do you have any like physical goals? Like,
yeah,
I think everybody, that's kind of the go-to at New Year's. Everybody's like, I'm going to lose 50
I
pounds this year.
do.
or I'm gonna-
2020
I'm not
was
setting a number.
not.
Yeah.
2020
See,
was
sometimes I think people would argue that having a number, having a measurable goal is the way to go. But you're gearing more towards just the faithfulness of consistency. And
Right.
yeah. Go ahead.
So yeah, I was just gonna say 2020 has been a bad year for me physically. I would say and just that I'm not exercising. I felt fine and everything. We did get bicycles, so we did a lot of bicycling throughout the summer, and that was good. But it's random, So I wanna spend more time on the bike or running, both. So either I'm gonna run or bike every day.
Okay.
Every day.
I laugh.
Unless
Here's
the
the thing
hurricane's
with Adam.
coming.
Like, I'm waiting for his metabolism to catch up with him. Like, and it just doesn't happen. Like, he's a couple years older than
Oh,
me.
man.
And I'm thinking at some point, this guy, because I can't eat anything now without feeling like I'm gaining weight. I have to really
Wait till you
guard.
both get over the 45
Yeah.
hump, and then it just stops completely. I'm just telling you.
That's not true, though. I've kickstarted. I think the lunges have certainly
Yeah.
kickstarted. My metabolism was through the roof in the summer when I'd lunged. I lunged for 100 straight days, at least 10 minutes a day. And so there are ways, I think, having those measurable goal streaks, specific things. Like I want to lunge every day of 2021. That's one of the things I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it for a whole year and see what
Yeah.
happens. But I think we tend to go to those sort of, I think, physical goals and when we think about resolutions. What do you guys think about people making like spiritual resolutions? Thoughts about that?
I mean, I don't think it's bad. I mean,
Yeah.
to do that. I just think that you have to be careful what you promise God. I think is the way I would look at it.
We're just saying something that sounds good or spiritual.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, something like reading the Bible through in a year. I mean, I think that's an excellent goal to set.
Right.
And then, really trying, hopefully in starting and kickstarting that plan, it'll be something that is enjoyed every day, and that it's not just like, oh man, now I have to do this. And that's why I was trying to say earlier, I don't like to set a resolution and be like, why did I do this? Why now I hate doing this? Like
I'm probably going to feel that way about lunges.
No, I mean, riding my bike, I want to do that. I want to be outside. So hopefully spiritual goals would be the same. It would be something that wouldn't have to be a burden or anything, but it would be something that would be enjoyable, time with the Lord. Spiritual goals are good. Just to get
I've
you in
had
the
mixed
rhythm.
feelings about it, though, because it's usually like, I want to grow in my relationship with God. There's these kind of goals that we can set spiritually that, I don't know, it's almost as if this, I use the term white-knuckled will of man to like accomplish these spiritual things, when in reality, it is God who brings growth, right?
Right.
And so our responsibility then, though, is to set the conditions, right, to till the soil of our hearts, to making sure that we're in a right disposition for His word, which is the seed, right, to grow, and God brings the growth. Paul says when they're kind of debating on, I follow Paul, I follow Apollos, and he was like, one's sowing seed, one's watering it, but God brings the growth.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why I've had mixed feelings about that, because it can almost seem like we're responsible ultimately for that growth.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think we are responsible for making the right conditions
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
for God to grow us, which would mean spending time in the Word.
Mm-hmm.
It would mean praying more regularly, even when we don't feel like it.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always had kind of mixed feelings about that, because it seems so human, like determination.
Yeah.
Um,
But if you're sporadic with that, there's a good thing to say, no, I'm going to be more intentional, setting a time that's going to help you, and not that you're relying totally on your own will, but that.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I mean, I read through the Bible every year. I've done that pretty much every year that I've been a Christian for a long time now. But I still feel like I can read through the Bible and it not bring growth.
Yeah.
Like,
True.
because there is a spiritual dimension component to spending that time communing with God. So what I've, in more recent years, now I've begun to just listen to it throughout the year, and then have my sermon preparation or Bible study preparation be that more of that communing piece. So when I'm listening, I'm still, hearing the Word of God. I'm still dialed in, but it is more casual than, the time I would spend in like reflective communion with Him
Mm-hmm.
in the Word. I don't know. I think that spiritual goals are to be more geared towards our faithfulness to Him than to a task to complete, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's, I mentioned Jonathan Edwards and his resolutions to you guys. If people may not be familiar with him or with some of his works, but he came up in the Puritan conversation that we had. He was kind of one of the latter-day Puritans
Mm-hmm.
in the 18th century. He was born in 1703. Well, when he was 19 years old, there was a period of, a couple months, I think, where he wrote resolutions for his life. At 19, this guy wrote like 70 resolutions. I have a poster that has them all listed on
Oh,
it.
wow.
It's at the church. I pull it out
That's
every
awesome.
now and then. And I want to read you the introduction. I pulled it up online. It's all on the poster that I have. He begins it this way. I love this. He says, being sensible that I am unable to do anything without God's help. And I think it's
Yeah.
what I was getting at.
That's the way to start it. Mm-hmm.
Being sensible that I am unable to do anything without God's help, I do humbly entreat Him, by His grace, to enable me to keep these resolutions, so far as they are agreeable to His will, for Christ's sake. Remember to read over these resolutions once a week. So that's his kind of preamble to it, and then he goes into what he's resolved to do. I'll just give you a quick sampling. Number 1, resolved that I will do whatsoever I think to be most to the glory of God in my own good, profit, and pleasure in the whole of my duration, without any consideration of the time, whether now or never, so many myriads of ages hence. Resolved to do whatever I think to be my duty, and most for the good and advantage of mankind in general. Resolved to do whatever difficulties I meet with, how many whatsoever, and how great whatsoever. Resolved to be continually endeavoring to find out some new contrivance and invention to promote the aforementioned things. He just goes on. There's so many about like how he spends time in the Word. I love number 5, resolved never to lose one moment of time, but to improve it in the most profitable way I possibly can. And number 6 is probably one of the most famous, where he says, resolved to live with all my might while I do live. Like, how cool is that? And, there's 70 of them. It's talking about the Word of God, talking about his family. There's so many resolutions. Recognizing, though, that it is God at work in his life. And I think that's just an important component when we think about, our resolutions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have a couple of resolutions. I guess I'm a resolution guy. I would put myself in that category, but it's usually like kind of the physical things. Like I have some goals. I was talking about, like, many people know that I've been trying to dunk a basketball. Like, that's one of my goals. I want to dunk a basketball. I haven't done it since college. And even back then, I couldn't do it clean every time. I would get it every now and then. So that's like one of the things at my age, like I just think would be cool. It's something me and my son have fun with. I want to be able to nose ride on my surfboard. I've been longboarding quite a bit. I want to get out there, hang 10, all toes over the nose. Those are some things that I'm just want to do physically.
It's funny, a lot of people don't know where that term came from. Hang 10.
10
What that
toes
actually-
over
over
the
the
nose.
nose.
Yeah. I want to max out my PT test in the Army. So those are kind of the physical things that I've been thinking about. But I love how yours went to family, because it's so important to like not let that be dismissed as something that is unimportant. I want to graduate with my doctorate and I want to finish that, my dissertation and whatnot. But the family piece is, I love that you gravitated towards that. I think that's incredibly important, that we not get so bent on achieving things that the world could look at and see as success, but rather to do the things that we know, to live with all our might for the things that are most important
Yeah.
while I do live.
Yes.
How cool is
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys have any other thoughts about resolutions, any goals for 2021?
Yeah, I have one other one, and this is more of a new thing. I've started to dabble a little bit in the kitchen, and so I want to at least once a month try and make something new, a new meal. So that's
Chef Adam.
a plan to try and make,
You can start
make
another
something
YouTube
new.
show.
Should start a
That's
YouTube show.
Have Rodney come over to my kitchen. We'll see how this turns out.
No,
Doesn't
at
always turn
at
out
that
great.
point, you're
but-
going to need to start purchasing gear.
Adam's Kitchen. I think of some cool titles for
Yeah.
it. We'll work on it.
Yeah. So if you guys have some suggestions on things I should try to make,
That's good for you, because you eat like a kid.
I know, but
Chicken nuggets,
and that's the thing, I
ketchup.
get tired eating the same things if I so Crystal and I both we talked about that. We want to make some things, and I love
Yeah.
cooking. We kind of share the cooking duties, so yeah,
I just made chili. Yeah. I
love it.
posted it on Instagram, picture of the pot. Yeah.
It did look pretty good. I saw that. But yeah. What about as a church? Do you think we should set goals as a church, or just think about that? There's some measurable things, like going into this year of 2020, we set out to make some improvements, like to our campus. And then when things got crazy, we still were able to do that.
Yeah.
But we also,
We are
Then
very,
it-
very blessed financially to be able to do what we've
Yeah.
done. Yeah.
and then it shifted though. It shifted to like the whole video piece and
Yeah.
YouTube, and just being able to continually to improve that. Our kind of goals shifted there. We have specific goals, I think, of, in terms of shepherding our people to, we have a goal of calling everybody once a month and doing things like that. But I've always been real weary about like, we're going to, double our attendance this
Oh,
year.
yeah.
We're going to do that. I think it's good to have a goal like I'm going to invite so many people.
Right.
But when you start setting goals of like, I'm going to save 100 souls this year.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
like,
dangerous.
It's flawed theology for
Yeah,
one thing.
yeah.
But then I don't know.
Well, I think that because Nikki and I have seen that in past
Mm-hmm.
churches,
Yeah.
and it becomes a stumbling block to do that. It becomes a stumbling block not just for the person who puts that out there, but it can also become a stumbling block for the congregation, the people, when they hear those kinds of things like that. Because some people who may not be as strong yet in the faith may look at that and say, "We didn't hit that goal."
Mm-hmm.
You know, so.
You're
and
setting
so,
yourself
you're
up
setting yourself
for-
up for and both times that I've seen pastors do that, it was not good. I mean, it really went bad. So I'm just those kind of things. Yeah, I don't like.
Well,
I don't like those kind of things.
I get this kind of
Yeah.
behind it. I think there's good intentions behind it.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're talking about
Sure.
being
Saving
evangelistic,
people.
you're talking about
Yeah.
sharing the gospel with people. But I think with spirituality, as I was talking about earlier, it's tricky. It's like our goal should always be more towards faithfulness rather than results,
Right.
because our goal, our life is determined largely by our faithfulness, not by the works that are ultimately there. Now, I think we will bear fruit if we are faithful, the real kind of fruit that lasts. But there is sort of a gimmicky thing that can come with resolutions, I think, or goals that people make. It's almost funny. I would almost like, and I don't mean to I would never like publicly try to bash churches and things like that, but like it would just be interesting to look at people's first sermons of the year 2020. You know, we were on 2020, we're like the 2020 vision and all of that. And it's like, go back to those churches and look at their 2020 vision and like, how did it play out? Because some of those probably had to do with, you know, these kind of goals and the kind of the stuff we're talking about. It's just interesting to think about. But I think ultimately, I mean, let's push one another. Let's push our people towards faithfulness.
Right.
How do we become, you know, totally surrendered to the will of God, to where my success as a Christian doesn't hinge on the results, but rather hinge on the degree to which I'm faithful to the Lord in my personal walk and in my actions as well. You know, faithfulness to share with others, faithfulness to live a holy life and to really pursue Christ. I think that's got to be the measure. So it's a conversation pastors often have, like, what does success in ministry look like? Does it look like a mega church with all this, or does it?
One of the biggest examples I always like to look at is, from what I understand, the man who brought Billy Graham to Christ, that was the only person he ever brought to Christ.
Oh yeah, I never heard of that.
So if that's true, I mean, what kind of measure of ministry is that? I mean, he only brought one guy, but at that point, he brought one guy who brought how many? You know what I'm saying? Through his ministry. So I think that you have to kind of look at it as, you know, also the quality of faith that you build, that you help somebody build up, not just the number of people that you bring in, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's where a lot of people get hung up. So.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, faithfulness is got to be the main measure. It's hard to quantify that, but that is certainly the goal for each one.
So here's to 2021. Faithfulness.
Right.
Well done,
Faithfulness in
my faithful servants.
2021.
Right.
That's
Amen.
right.
God bless you all.
God bless.
Wait, don't leave just yet. If you like the video, make sure you give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't done so yet, click that subscribe button and ding that bell. That way you know when we release new videos. We love you all, and God bless.